We're getting a better picture of what congestion pricing might look like here in D.C. New York City implemented congestion pricing last year as a way to reduce traffic in parts of the city. And the idea has been floated here in D.C. too.
Today, the Bowser administration released a long overdue report on congestion pricing. It was completed in 2021 by a private firm, but it was never made public. The report detailed several models that would charge vehicles as much as $10 per day to drive downtown. Another model suggested charging 60 cents per minute while driving.
The report found congestion pricing would raise as much as $345 million a year. The report also concluded the various options would all decrease driver commute times and reduce traffic congestion.
Our Mark Seagraves joins us live in studio now. Okay, Mark, this report now made public after all these years. What are you learning from it?
Yeah, it's 100 pages long, so there's a lot to go through, and it talks about a lot of different things about racial and economic disparities when it comes to transportation options. It talks about commute times and congestion and things that could be alleviated by using this and the money that it would raise. But it's getting a lot of pushback from the Bowser administration, who did, as you said, finally release it after 5 years that it's been sitting on a shelf waiting to be released. But Mayor Bowser, her city administrator, actually held the press briefing for us today, said they have no intentions of moving forward and trying to implement this in her last year in office. There may be others who want to do that, but Mayor Bowser so far has said no.
So what happens next, Mark? Is this ever going to happen?
In short, almost certainly no. And that is because of Congress, right? Because even the Democrats in Maryland and Virginia, who usually side with the district when it comes to fighting off federal intervention, when it comes to a commuter tax or something like this that would impact their constituents, they have typically been against D.C. for something like this. Now, Janice Lewis George, who is one of the top contenders for mayor, Councilmember Lewis George, has said, and her campaign chairman, Tommy Wells, a former Bowser administration official, put out on social media just this afternoon that if she's elected, that she would, in fact, in his words, work with regional partners to implement this. It's great to say, but I don't see our regional partners being on board with something that's going to cost their residents money. And again, there's not a groundswell of support either on the D.C. Council to do this. So they could try to put it into this budget cycle that they'll be debating in the coming months, starting in April, and try to get it in there and see if there's enough support there. Or if that doesn't work and Janice Lewis George becomes mayor next year, she could put it forth as part of her first budget and her platform. She'd need to gather a lot of support. There's certainly support amongst activists. Greater Washington is a transportation watchdog group. They actually sued the government to try to get this report released. And so we're just going to see where it lays with the public, but it will be first up to council members to decide if they want to do anything with it.
So, Mark, why did it take so long for the release to be
That was my first question for the city administrator.
2021, a lot has changed.
Right. So the city administrator, Kevin Downey, said because it was flawed, he believes the report is flawed because a lot of it was done during COVID and before COVID. So a lot of the assumptions in the report about commuter patterns and about how many people are working downtown, those are all based on pre-pandemic numbers. And the city administrator says it's just flawed, and he didn't want to release it, but there was starting to be this groundswell of people talking about it, and obviously it became a political football, if you will. And so they said they just decided to put it out there, let everybody read it for themselves, make their own determination about it. But I believe if this hadn't been an election year, it probably would have waited till next year before we saw it.
And it's so interesting. We've been trying to get people back in the city, businesses and workers too, since the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. And that continues to be a struggle. But look, nobody likes sitting in traffic. And we can look at New York City, look at London, where they've been doing this for a while now. The city administration says those aren't fair comparisons, right? But nonetheless, these are major international cities that have implemented congested pricing. And it does seem to be reducing congestion, and that's the goal. Not to mention the hundreds of millions of dollars that it could raise.
Oh, of course,
what is going to be very, very tight budget season coming up for the district.
All right.
Mark Seagraves. Mark, thanks so much for your insight into this story.